Well, good morning. I'm just outside of Eden and Farson, Wyoming, and I'm standing here on the Oregon Trail. I'm at the Pilot Butte Overlook, and this is one of the stops on the Oregon Trail as the emigrants would have been heading south. If you look behind me, I'm actually standing in the wagon tracks right now. These wagon tracks cut off that way and they head out to South Pass. So they would have come out of South Pass, come over here, and then over that direction, if you can see it, is Pilot Butte. And Pilot Butte was a landmark that actually, it appears on fur trade maps as early as 1837. So the fur traders knew about it, the immigrants knew about it, and it's a well-known landmark and a pretty neat piece of history here. So I'm kind of walking in the wagon tracks. I'll turn my camera here and you can see them they go on for miles and miles and miles. And here I'm driving in my truck doing 80 miles an hour, and 80 miles an hour would have been inconceivable to these people. They were coming down this stuff in covered wagons with horses, and sometimes only getting a mile or two a day. And if I only went a mile or two a day, this Wyoming trip would take me a year to do. So I'm grateful for my modern conveniences, but certainly in awe of the sheer will and the grit and determination these people had to have, and the mental fortitude and the physical and mental toughness to be. I mean, because if you look, there's nothing out here. I mean, there's landmarks, but I mean, these people would have been out here probably killing antelope and jackrabbits and the odd deer or bison in order to sustain themselves, and hoping they were going to make it to the next stop. And then just several miles to the south of here is the Green River, where they would have forded the river and continued on, and eventually ended up down in Utah. Just a cool piece of history, and I love seeing stuff like this and standing where these people stood and traveling where they traveled, and just appreciating everything I've got and everything that I'm able to do, because these people decided, hey, you know what, we're going to head west and we're going to try to find some new places to go and new places to live and some new country to settle. And well, I'm sure glad they picked this place. I love the Great Basin. I love the plains. I love the West. It's so neat to be out here. Anyway, have a good day. Y'all, I'm here at another cool historical site. I am standing at the site of the 1838 Mountain Man Rendezvous here in Riverton, Wyoming. This is actually the only rendezvous site that hasn't been developed yet, and a bunch of people have worked hard to preserve this and keep it here for us to visit. The 1838 rendezvous is one of the most well documented. There were actually several missionary wives who were here, and they kept journals and told stories about what went on. And this is one of the last couple of rendezvous to be held. The fur trade lasted from about 1820-ish to 1840. And so every spring they would meet up and they would trade their goods. And the rendezvous would last usually about 2 weeks, and they would sell off their furs, trade, get resupplied, then head out for another year of trapping. It's neat to be able to come here and kind of walk through history again and see this stuff, and I'm glad that people have preserved this so that we can enjoy it. So I'm really happy to see it. Now I'm off to go check out a museum. Good morning. I am once again on the Oregon Trail. I'm headed back to Utah from here in Wyoming, and I'm a little further north from where I was the other day when I posted the other video. This is a landmark called Oregon Butte, named for the Oregon Trail, obviously. And I'm standing here in the wagon ruts of the Oregon Trail, and this is one of the first landmarks you see coming out of South Pass. South Pass is right behind me. It comes out of that mountain range right there, runs down along here and continues on south. It was first traversed by white men in 1812. It was discovered by a group of people called the Astorians under a guy named Astor. And it was kind of lost again. Nobody remembered where it was until it was quote unquote rediscovered by Jedediah Smith in the winter of 1823 to 1824 when he was working for William Ashley during the early part of the fur trade. So when it was rediscovered, then it was mapped and it became a fairly well-known landmark. And later on, after the fur trade, the immigrants would come down this trail on their way to Oregon. And this was just one of the landmarks that they would use to navigate, because they didn't have Google Maps. They didn't have, pardon my thumb there. They didn't have, an atlas that they could just consult. They had handwritten maps, hand-drawn maps, and tribal knowledge. And so, they'd say, hey, you're going to go over South Pass, and when you get to the bottom, you're going to see this big flat top mountain, and that's Oregon Butte. And you continue on south from there, and you'll hit the overlook, and then you'll get down to the river, and so on and so forth. So pretty neat how they did all this stuff and how they would navigate this. It's freezing cold out here right now, and it's just November. I could imagine doing this over the winter of 1823 to 1824. So back there is the Wind River Range. That's I was hunting in the further north of there in the Wind River Range. And just couldn't imagine navigating this stuff on foot or on horseback, sometimes only making a mile a day. And just another testament to the toughness that these people were born out of and born into. I have endless amounts of respect for them, because they did stuff that was hard. It's not easy. You had cholera, you had dysentery, you had hostile Indians, accidental deaths. There was a lot of death and sadness on these travels west. But the ones that made it, they opened the West for the rest of us. So, hats off to them, and try to honor their memories and their accomplishments, because it's truly amazing. Without them, gold probably would have never been discovered in California. Nevada may never have been settled. Utah, all these places. So it's an interesting thing to think about, that these people did that without gas stations to stop at and pick up a burrito when they were hungry, or a map they could look at to tell how many miles it was to the next rest stop, or where to get a motel or something like that. So I have unending amounts of respect and gratitude for that. It's cool stuff. So hope you guys are enjoying these little stops I make. I always try to stop and see cool historical things, because they're interesting to me. I like history. I really like the history of kind of the formative times of America. Civil War, the Old West, the fur trade, Revolutionary War. That stuff interests me, because it was just we were building a nation, and nobody really knew how it was going to work out, but we did it anyway. So lots of respect for that. Well, I got to get back on the road and get back to Utah. My wife and kids are waiting on me. If I see something else cool along the way, I'll show you. Bye now.